how would Chang most likely respond to the common view presented in text 1? So what is that common view? A common view of the history of science is that it progressed through a series of revolutions. Science progressed or passed through a series of revolutions in which old theories were replaced by new ones that better explain the natural world. For instance, the Copernican revolution overturned the geocentric or Earth-centric model of the universe, and the Darwinian revolution replaced the creationist account of life. These revolutions were driven by the creativity of visionary scientists and by empirical evidence that contradicted the prevailing theories. And just a note here, empirical, definitely a good word to know, one that could show up on words and context questions, but that means, well, based on observation, so it's not theoretical or speculative. It's not those things. It is based on evidence. That evidence could be from, an experiment done in a laboratory, but it doesn't have to be. It could just be based on going outside and looking at things, or looking at planets with a telescope, or whatever else. So not theoretical or speculative, empirical. But the key thing here is that the common view has to do with this idea of scientific revolutions and theories replacing previous theories. So text 2 says, in his 2012 book, Chang argues that the history of science is neither simple nor neat. Using the example of the chemical revolution, he contends or argues that scientific revolutions are often exaggerated or mythologized, like after the fact, and that old theories do not always disappear or become irrelevant. So, in other words, Chang is going to say that it is not just a series of revolutions with one theory replacing the one that came before it. So instead, there are often multiple coexisting and complementary ways of understanding the same phenomena, and that scientific knowledge is enriched by this pluralism and diversity. He also said, okay, blah, blah, blah. So it really is going to come down to this distinction, whether it is best thought of as consisting of a series of revolutions and one theory replacing the one that came before it, or not. So A gets off on the wrong foot there. It's not really accepting the notion of scientific revolutions, or at least that's not the key thing that passage 2 would say in response to passage 1. Now, B, on the other hand, is too strong, in the other direction. It's not about rejecting this altogether. So that's extreme and not supported. And it's not about gradual and continuous change. It's about, again, this kind of overlapping, multiple coexisting theories or ways of understanding at the same time. By modifying the concept of scientific revolutions to account for the persistence and diversity of alternative theories. So persistence and diversity of alternative theories, multiple coexisting and complementary ways of understanding the same phenomena. So thinking about like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, if this one is too hot and this is too cold, this one is just right. Or if this one is too positive and this one is too negative, this one is just right, at least, in terms of capturing what passage 2 would say. So D, it's not about whether they are rare and exceptional. It's really just, again, more about whether they tend to be exaggerated or not. It would say that they do tend to be exaggerated, and this idea of theories replacing previous theories is a little bit too simplistic, too neat for Chang. So it's going to be C.